So glad you're here tonight with us, everyone. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 4 people will have a stroke in their lifetime. And when it comes to strokes, time is of the essence. So when a Payson man started experiencing stroke symptoms, he was luckily in the right place to get help. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph has the story you will only see here.
If you're looking to buy a car in Payson, you might check out Robert Marsh Car and Truck Sales.
To be funded still.
Inside, sales manager Stephen Holloway is always ready to talk shop.
I do it mostly because I love working with cars.
It was no different when Charles Cranny came in one morning. He had just returned from taking a car on a test drive.
As I was opening up the door when I drove right into their place here, my AirPod fell out of my ear as I opened up the door, and I went down to get it.
I just kind of watched for a second, and I'm like, something's not right.
Steve came out, and I thought, well, I'll just get it in a minute after I've talked with him.
Hey, is everything okay?
I said, I think I'm all right. Let me just go sit down inside for a minute.
He stood up, and I knew everything wasn't okay. He had kind of a droopy expression on his face and a lot of drool coming out of his mouth.
While driving, Charles had suffered a stroke. The clock was now ticking.
So we got in the very car that I was checking out. You went right out that way. Well, it's only 2 blocks away, which is fortunate.
Stephen rushed Charles to the hospital as fast as he could.
It was just a minute, really, there. Yeah, so you just drove, it was right there. You drove me up, wasn't it? Yeah.
Where do you want to go? What can we do for you? Nearby at Mountain View Hospital, they were waiting. Charles's symptoms had progressed.
Stops right there.
When he tried to talk, the wrong words would come out.
I thought, boy, this is weird. I didn't realize that the brain was so connected to the mouth.
And if even minutes go by with part of your brain not getting oxygen, it can be detrimental. It can be fatal at times. I'm glad we were able to help you, seriously.
Dr. Cameron Meyer is in charge of strokes that come into the ER.
I'm glad to hear it.
Using a variety of technology, including doctors remotely on camera, it was determined that Charles was having what's called an LVO, or large vascular occlusion.
By the time you get here, me and Dr. Norman, the stroke neurologist, will be right there at the bedside, ready for you.
Our motto is time is brain.
Within minutes, they had administered a drug called TNK, or tenecteplase.
It's the best shot that we have to stop any kind of clot.
All while doctors were working, Stephen was standing with him.
That connection was there, and it's like I didn't feel right just leaving, going back to my job and whatever.
Charles' life still hung in the balance, so he had to be airlifted for emergency surgery. A short helicopter ride later, he was rushed into surgery at St. Mark's Hospital, a comprehensive stroke center.
They were immediately there. They took us right in.
Where doctors like Danielle Sorty went in to take the clot out.
This is a really revolutionary treatment, endovascular therapy, that was sort of recently proven only in about 2015.
I think I recall the doctor telling me that this surgery took only 18 minutes.
The process being quick and being able to remove the clot, contributing to functional outcome, is an example of the whole system and the technology working really well together.
Everything possible that could have gone right did. And while Charles is here to tell the tale,
It's important to realize it can happen to anybody.
every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. has a stroke. And while higher age is a risk factor, 38% of strokes per year happen to those under age 65. Here in Utah, strokes are now the 7th leading cause of death.
Retiring.
A few hours after surgery, Charles was back to normal, and after a few days was able to walk out of the hospital.
I would be amiss if I didn't think that there was a heavenly influence. The technology is developed. I'm thankful for God. I could still do what I love to do because I love my work, I love my home, I love my family.
And today,
100% recovery and just miraculous recovery just because of all of those people that were there to help.
Thanks for your service.
You're welcome.
but none of that would have been possible without Stephen.
His recovery was miraculous, really, and spectacular. I guess I'm fortunate that I did know what was going on, because don't know what I would have done.
Without him having recognized that who knows what my lifestyle would be right now.
He could have left. I could have, dismissed everything, and he could have drove off, and who knows what would happen.
He was a godsend, really. So I should have just run back over.
The two have developed a friendship built on an unpredictable set of circumstances. But what about that car?
We had to buy the car from him at that point. We joke a little, say, well, if he's going to stay with him in the hospital for that, time, I better buy the car from him. So we did.
A happy ending, to say the least, for Stephen and Charles, people just like you and me. Which means one day you too might have to take on one of their roles. So what would you do?
I would say that if there's any question that somebody might be having any of those symptoms of a stroke, just get them right there, get them to the hospital. If you're wrong, so be it, but if you're right, you might be saving a whole life.
So if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, remember this acronym that Mountain Star Healthcare has put together. Each of these stands for something. B fast. The B stands for balance. E for eyes. F for face, that facial droop that Charles was experiencing. A for arms, whether you can't lift your arms to the same height. S for speech, that slurred speech. And of course, the most important, time. Call 911 right away and you too could save lives. In studio, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.